Hi, everyone. Appreciate you joining today. We're talking today about the SPICED methodology, which is created by Winning by Design and is used as a framework for data collection. So, we want to talk a little bit about what it is, how it's used, and who are the parties that, generally speaking, are the most impacted and get to leverage it the most. So, SPICED, first and foremost, is an acronym and it creates a number of categories of information that you want to collect. And so I'll put the acronym up on the screen, but the S stands for situation, the P stands for pain, the I stands for impact, the CE stands for critical event, and the D stands for decision, which is inclusive of both the decision criteria, how do I select a service provider or a vendor or a piece of technology, as well as decision process, which is how this organization will go through an evaluation and make a buying decision. So that's what it is. Let's talk a little bit about how it's used, and then we can talk a little bit more about the specifics of each of those categories. So how it's used is across the customer journey, which is great, so that there creates a universal and common language amongst different stakeholders, both internally and externally. So let's give some specific examples of that. So, for example, business development, SDRs, BDRs, etc., use the beginning of SPICED, situation, pain, and impact, as part of their initial discovery. So I might ask a prospect, what's going on at your company? What's the context of your business that would be the situation? What problem are you looking to solve? And what outcome or impact are you looking to achieve? That gives me a really conversational way to ask some critical information that we would want to know that helps us understand who this customer or prospect is, what's going on with them, and generally is used in that initial stages of that conversation to qualify whether we are in fact the right product or service to meet those needs. So that's in the kind of the front end of the process. Now, as that prospect or customer potentially is handed off to another stakeholder internally, that contextual information gets passed to them in a consistent way. So now I know as a sales professional to expect some context, some situation data, some problem that this prospect is looking to solve, and an outcome that they're hoping to achieve if they work with us or another vendor. Now, in my discovery call, I can go then reconfirm that information and build upon what's already been told to me. So again, it creates some cohesiveness between the experience that the customer or prospect has with sales development and sales. It also creates consistency between information being passed from a business development professional and a sales professional. Now, a sales professional is working to build out the entirety of Spiced. So they want to then dig into, well, what's the critical event? Why are we talking about this now? What's important about your company? That needs to take place so that we can be successful given a specific time parameter. And then lastly, tell me about the decision process. How will you evaluate us as a potential provider of a solution and who might be involved in that process? What is the sequence of events that process will take over whatever that duration of time is? So, like many organizations, sales generally does not work alone. And so Spiced also provides a framework to be able to incorporate other stakeholders. So, sales engineers, potentially implementation consultants, maybe finance, other folks that would be involved in that opportunity, they can now use that framework to very clearly and very concisely communicate what's going on. Who are we talking to? Why are we talking to them? What's the problem? What are they hoping to achieve? Why are they doing it now? It's a really clear and consistent way to communicate information about that company. Furthermore, it's not just an internal framework, it's an external framework that you can then revalidate with the prospect. Here's what I've heard from our conversations. This is the situation. This is the problem you're looking to solve. This is the outcome looking to achieve. Am I getting that correct? And as you go through a sales process, or if you're using this on a account growth standpoint, as you're going through that expansion process or renewal, you can then use that information to confirm A, you're getting the information correct, but B, you can now triangulate it through multiple stakeholders. So what I heard from Susan was this. Now when I'm talking to Joe, I can then either append that information with net new information, or I can confirm with other stakeholders that what I've learned is the correct and accurate understanding of that situation. And therefore I have all the information that I need to know. Let's assume that as a result of this, we're very successful in the sales process and we win the deal. So now this information, the same framework, can be passed to implementation consultants, onboarding, customer success, etc., to say, hey, here's a new customer. We're super excited to be working with them. Here's everything that I learned through the sales process in a really consistent and clear framework that now you can ingest and get up to speed on who this person is, what got us to this point, because now that you're taking over responsibility for those stakeholders in that company, you now can get up to speed, not force the customer to regress in any of their communication, but pick up where sales left off and now move into implementation and customer success. And lastly, and maybe it's intuitive, but the customer growth team uses this as well. And so the key thing in this process and when you're using this framework is that it should be an evolving and a living understanding. So the situation for a company when they talk to you 3 months ago, when they're first talking to you as a prospect, may not be the same situation that happens in sales. And certainly 2 years down the road as a successful, happy customer, that situation is different. So the idea is that this creates a framework that can be used on an evergreen basis so that as things ebb and flow, maybe things get better, things get worse, whatever's going on, that you can keep overwriting this information to always give you a current and accurate understanding of the context of this account, what really is top of mind and important to them, who are the key stakeholders involved, and so that anyone that's engaged with this company can get a very quick and very clear understanding of what's going on. So I hope this has been helpful. In follow-on videos, I'll walk a little bit more through the details of the individual categories of SPICED, but wanted to give you a quick lay of the land of what it is and generally how it's used and who's involved in using it to give you a starting point to start leveraging this in your day-to-day work.